Clara Whitfield pressed her back against the church door and listened. Footsteps in the snow. Her breath caught. But no just the wind. Just Montana wind. 2,000 miles from Boston, and she still flinched at shadows. The telegram in her pocket was useless now. Position filled. Dr. Morrison deceased. She'd spent everything to get here. 16 cents left. Christmas Eve, 1887. And the only man who could have given her work was 3 days in the ground. Then the church door slammed open behind her. If you want to know how Clara's story unfolds, subscribe to our channel and follow her journey to the very end. Drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. I'd love to see how far this story travels. The man's boots hit the wooden floor hard. Clara spun around, her hand flying to her throat. Not Thomas, not his brothers, a stranger, tall, wind-burned face, snow in his dark hair, and in his arms, God in heaven. The child wasn't breathing. Please. The man's voice broke like glass. Please, ma'am, he just stopped. I don't know. Clara moved before thinking. Crossed the church in 5 steps. Grabbed the boy from the stranger's arms. How long? She laid him on the nearest pew, tilted his head back. How long since he stopped? I don't know. Minute, maybe 2. We were riding and he was coughing and then his airway. Clara swept her finger along the child's throat. Mucus thick and bloody. She hooked it out. The boy's chest hitched. Come on. She pressed his small ribs. Once. Twice. Breathe, sweetheart. Breathe. The child coughed. Choked. Drew one ragged, rattling breath. Then another. Clara nearly collapsed. The stranger dropped to his knees beside her. Tears cut through the dust on his face. Joe. Joey, can you hear me? The boy's eyes fluttered. Blue eyes, fever bright. He looked past his father, found Clara's face. Mama. Clara's throat closed. No, sweetheart. But I'm here. The stranger, the father, put his forehead against his son's hand and sobbed. Raw, broken sounds. A man who'd already buried one person he loved and couldn't survive burying another. Clara watched him. Recognized the grief. She'd worn it herself, though, for different reasons. He's breathing, she said. But he's very sick. This fever. How long? 3 days. The man lifted his head. Started as a cough. I thought it'd pass. It won't pass on its own. His lungs are filling. He needs medicine, warmth, constant watching. Doc Morrison is dead. I know. Clara stood. I was supposed to work for him. The man stared at her. You're a nurse trained at Boston General. 8 years. Something shifted in his face. Desperation turning to hope. Can you save him? Clara looked at the small boy on the pew. 4 years old, maybe. Lips still blue-tinged. Breathing like every inhale cost him. I can try, she said, but I need the clinic. Whatever supplies Morrison left behind. The man was on his feet before she finished. I'll carry him. Show me where. Wait. He stopped. What's your name, Sam? Sam Thornton. Mr. Thornton. I should tell you, Sam. And whatever you're about to say, it can wait. My boy's dying. Nothing else matters. Clara wanted to argue. Wanted to explain that she was running from something, that trouble followed her, that taking her in might cost him more than he knew. But Joe coughed again, wet and terrible, and she swallowed the words. This way. The clinic was dark and cold. Clara lit the lamp while Sam laid Joe on the examination table. Fire, she said. In the stove. Fast as you can. Sam moved. No hesitation, no questions. He found kindling, found matches, had flames licking at the iron within 2 minutes. Efficient hands. A man used to working alone. Clara pulled bottles from the shelves. Read labels in the lamplight. Most were useless. Calomel, laudanum, mercury, compounds, the old poisons that killed as often as they cured. There. Brown bottle in the back. Syrup of ipecac. And beside it, dried willow bark. She mixed them with honey and warm water. Brought the cup to Joe's lips. Drink this, sweetheart. It tastes bad, but it'll help. Joe's eyes found hers. Trusting. Absolute. Promise, I promise. He drank, made a face. Swallowed anyway. Good boy. Clara smoothed his hair back. Such a good, brave boy. Sam watched from the stove. His face was a mask, but his hands shook. What now? We wait. Clara applied a cool cloth to Joe's forehead. The medicine needs time. His fever has to break on its own. And if it doesn't, then we try something else. Clara met his eyes. I won't give up on him, Mr. Thornton. Not tonight. Not ever. Sam held her gaze. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Two people who'd lost too much. Sam, he said again. Please. Clara nodded. Sam. The hours crawled. Clara worked without stopping. Compresses, tea, more medicine when Joe could swallow it. She listened to his breathing, counted his heartbeats, watched for any sign of change. Sam sat beside his son's bed. He held Joe's hand and talked. Low, steady words, stories about horses and cattle, and a dog named Biscuit. Stories about Joe's mother. Your mama loved Christmas, Sam said softly. Used to make cookies shaped like stars. You were too little to remember, but she'd hold you up to hang the ornaments. Said you had the best eye for where they should go. Joe stirred. Didn't wake. She'd like this lady. Sam continued. Your mama. She'd say anyone who fights that hard for a stranger's kid has a good heart. Clara pretended not to hear, busied herself with bandages, but she heard every word. Around midnight, the fever spiked. Joe's body burned. He thrashed, cried out, called for his mama, in a voice that shattered Clara's heart. Sam stood helpless. His face had gone gray. What's happening? His body's fighting. Clara stripped the blankets away, applied cool cloths everywhere she could reach. This is normal. The fever peaks before it breaks. He's so hot. Sam's voice cracked. He's burning up. I know. Clara. The way he said her name broken, desperate. I can't lose him too. Mary, his mother, she died right here in this town. I watched her go. I can't watch him go too. Clara looked at this man, saw the grief carved into his face, saw the years of loneliness, the weight of raising a child alone, the terror of loving something so fragile. She thought of Thomas, how he'd never loved anything but himself, how he'd used her and hurt her and thrown her away. Sam Thornton was nothing like Thomas. You won't lose him, Clara said. I won't let you. 3 more hours. Clara didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't leave Joe's side for more than a minute at a time. Sam dozed in the chair, exhausted past his limits. His hand stayed wrapped around Joe's even in sleep. Clara watched them, father and son, the fierce protective way Sam curved toward the boy, even unconscious. She'd wanted this once. A family, children, a man who'd protect them. Thomas had offered her the dream and delivered a nightmare. But watching Sam Thornton stop it, she told herself. You've known him 4 hours. You don't know anything about him. But she knew he loved his son, knew he'd ridden through a blizzard to find help, knew he'd knelt in a church and wept without shame when his boy started breathing again. That was enough to know, for now. Just before dawn, Joe's fever broke. Clara felt it happen. The sudden release of tension. The way his breathing eased from that terrible rattle to something steadier, deeper. She pressed her hand to his forehead. Cool, thank God. Cool, Sam. His eyes snapped open. His fever broke. Clara smiled. It felt strange. She hadn't smiled in weeks. He's going to be all right. Sam stared at her, then at Joe, at the color returning to his son's cheeks. He's going to be all right. He needs rest. Lots of fluids. Careful watching. But yes, the worst is over. Sam put his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. Clara gave him the moment, turned away to clean up the cloths and bottles. Her own hands were trembling. Exhaustion and relief and something else. Something that felt dangerously like hope. "Ma'am?" She turned. Sam had collected himself. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. "I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to. I'm a nurse. It's what I do. You saved my son's life. He saved his own life. I just helped." Sam stood. He was taller than she'd realized. Broader. A man built for hard country. "What are you going to do now?" he asked. Clara hesitated. "I don't know. Find work somewhere, I suppose. If there's any to be found. There's work at my ranch." Clara's heart stuttered. "Mr. Thornton, Sam, and hear me out. Joe's gonna need watching for weeks. You said so yourself. I've got a ranch 4 miles out, a spare room and fair wages. $20 a month plus room and board. I can't just... My sister lives with me." Sam's voice was firm. "Mabel, she'll make sure everything's proper. I ain't asking for anything but help with my son." Clara wanted to say yes. Wanted it so badly her chest ached. But she thought of Thomas's family. The letters they'd sent to every city she'd passed through. The reward they'd offered for information about the whereabouts of Clara Whitfield, wanted for attempted murder. "If I come to your ranch," she said slowly, "I might bring trouble with me." Sam's eyes narrowed. What kind of trouble? The kind that follows a woman who ran from her husband. Silence. Clara waited for the judgment. The suspicion. The look that said she wasn't worth the risk. Sam said, "He hurt you." Clara's hand went to her throat. Unconscious. Automatic. "Yes." "That's why you ran?" "Yes." Sam nodded. Slow. Deliberate. "Then you're exactly the kind of woman who belongs at my ranch," he said. "And any trouble that comes looking for you can answer to me." Clara's eyes burned. "You don't know me. I know you spent all night saving my son." Sam's voice was quiet. "I know you've got hands that heal and a heart that cares. That's enough. It won't be easy. People will talk. People always talk. Doesn't mean I gotta listen." Clara looked at Joe. Still sleeping. Still breathing. Still alive because she'd been in that church at exactly the right moment. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was just two broken people finding each other in the dark. "All right," she said. "I'll come." Sam's relief was visible, but something else was there too. Something that looked almost like gratitude. "Thank you," he said, "for everything." "Don't thank me yet." Clara's voice was wry. "Wait until you see what I'm like before coffee." Sam's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Fair enough. They waited until noon to move Joe. The boy woke hungry, confused, but breathing clear. "Where are we, Papa Doctor's office, buddy? You were sick, but this nice lady made you better." Joe's eyes found Clara. "You're the one who made me breathe again." "I am. Are you coming home with us?" Clara glanced at Sam. He nodded. "Yes," she said. "For a while." Joe smiled, a small, exhausted smile that lit up his whole face. "Good. I like you. I like you too, Joe." Sam lifted his son carefully, cradled him against his chest like something precious, which he was. "Wagons out front," he said. "Ready when you are." Clara gathered the supplies she'd need. Medicines, bandages, instruments. Morrison's entire stock, now hers by default. She paused at the door. "Sam." He turned. "Thank you," she said, "for not asking more questions." Sam shifted Joe in his arms. The boy had fallen asleep again, trusting safe. "Way I see it," he said, "everyone's running from something. What matters is what you run toward." He stepped out into the cold. Clara stood alone for a moment. The clinic was quiet. Through the window she could see Sam loading Joe into the wagon, tucking blankets around him, with infinite care. She thought of Boston, of Thomas, of the life she'd fled. Then she picked up her bag and walked out into the Christmas snow. Whatever came next, she'd face it. She wasn't alone anymore. The wagon ride was quiet. Joe slept between them, wrapped in every blanket Sam owned. Clara kept her hand on his forehead, monitoring. Sam drove. His eyes stayed on the road, but Clara caught him glancing at her. Quick looks. Assessing. "You're staring," she said finally. "Sorry." Sam's jaw tightened. "Just trying to figure you out." "What's to figure? You're a trained nurse from Boston. Could work anywhere. But you came all the way to Montana for a job with a country doctor nobody's heard of." Sam shook his head. "Doesn't add up." Clara watched the snow fall. "Some things don't need to add up. They just need to be true." "Fair enough." Sam was quiet for a moment. "My sister's gonna have questions, though. Mabel ain't one to let things lie. I'll handle your sister." Sam's mouth quirked. Brave words. "You haven't met her yet." Clara almost smiled. "I survived 8 years of Boston surgeons. I think I can manage one ranch woman. Don't say I didn't warn you." They rode in silence after that, but it was easier now, less tense. Clara found herself noticing things. The way Sam handled the horses, gentle but firm. The care he took, avoiding ruts that might jostle Joe. The lines around his eyes that spoke of years squinting into sun and wind. A hard man, she thought. But not a cruel one. The difference mattered. The ranch appeared through the snow like something from a dream. Main house, solid and square. Barn to the left. Smaller cabin to the right. Smoke rising from chimneys. Sam pulled the wagon up to the main house. The door opened before they'd stopped moving. A woman stood on the porch. Tall, dark-haired, sharp-featured. She had Sam's eyes and Sam's jaw and an expression that could have curdled milk. "Sam." Her voice cut through the cold. "What in God's name? Joe's sick." Sam climbed down from the wagon. This woman saved his life. The woman Mabel looked at Clara. Her gaze was surgical, dissecting. "Who are you, Clara Whitfield?" "I'm a nurse." "From where? Boston. Long way from home." "Yes." Clara met her stare. "It is." Something flickered in Mabel's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or just recognition of a fellow survivor. "Bring him inside," Mabel said finally. "I'll make up the spare room." She disappeared into the house. Sam let out a breath. "That went better than I expected." "She doesn't trust me," Clara said. "Mabel doesn't trust anyone." Sam lifted Joe from the wagon. "Don't take it personal." Clara followed him into the house. The main room was warm. Fire in the hearth lamps lit against the gray afternoon. Simple furniture, well made. A woman's touches here and there, curtains, a vase of dried flowers, a quilt on the rocking chair. Mary's things. Had to be. Sam carried Joe upstairs. Clara heard Mabel's voice, low and urgent, asking questions. She stood alone in the parlor. On the mantel, a photograph. Sam younger. A woman with light hair and a gentle smile. A baby in her arms. Mary. Clara looked at the woman's face. Tried to imagine what she'd been like. Kind, probably. Patient. The sort of woman who made cookies shaped like stars. The sort of woman Clara had always wanted to be before Thomas taught her that wanting things was dangerous. "You knew her." Clara spun. Mabel stood in the doorway. Arms crossed. Face unreadable. "No." Clara gestured at the photograph. "Just looking." "She was my brother's wife." Mabel's voice was flat. "Died 4 years ago. Child bed fever." "I'm sorry. Are you—" Mabel stepped closer. "Or are you just saying what you think I want to hear?" Clara met her eyes. "I'm saying what's true. I'm sorry your brother lost his wife. I'm sorry Joe lost his mother. And I'm sorry you lost someone you loved." Mabel studied her. Long, hard seconds. "Where'd you learn to nurse? Boston General Hospital. And before that, Philadelphia." "My father was a doctor." "So why'd you leave?" Clara hesitated. "That's my business. Not if you're living under my brother's roof." Mabel's jaw tightened. I've seen women come through here before, looking for a rich husband, or a warm bed, or a place to hide from whatever trouble they've made. Sam's got a good heart, but a blind eye when it comes to, I'm not looking for a husband. Clara's voice was sharp. I'm not looking for a bed. I'm looking for work and a place where I can sleep without fearing what comes through the door. That's all. Mabel went quiet. What were you afraid of? She asked finally. In Boston, Clara thought about lying, decided against it. My husband. Mabel's expression didn't change. Where is he now alive? Paralyzed. Clara's voice was steady. He fell down the stairs when he was trying to beat me to death. His family blamed me, so I ran. Silence. Mabel looked at her for a long moment. Then she nodded once. All right. All right. All right, you can stay. Mabel turned toward the kitchen. But if you hurt my brother or that boy, I'll put you in the ground myself. Understood. Understood. Mabel paused at the door. Supper's at 6. Don't be late. She disappeared. Clara stood alone in the parlor, heart pounding. She'd told the truth. Most of it anyway. Now she just had to hope it didn't destroy her. Supper was quiet. Joe was too weak to come down. Sam, ate fast distracted, kept glancing at the stairs. Mabel asked about Boston, about Clara's training, about the medicines she'd used on Joe. Clara answered carefully. Enough truth to satisfy, not enough to condemn. After the dishes were cleared, Sam showed her to the spare room. Small, clean. A bed, a dresser, a window looking out at the snow. It ain't much, Sam said. It's perfect. Clara touched the quilt on the bed. Hand-stitched. Mary's work, probably. Thank you. Sam lingered in the doorway. I meant what I said, he told her. Whatever trouble's following you, you don't have to face it alone. Clara looked at him. This man she'd known less than a day. This stranger who'd offered her shelter without asking for anything in return. Why, she asked. Why help me? Sam was quiet for a moment. Because 4 years ago I watched my wife die, and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. He met her eyes. Tonight, you gave me my son back. That ain't something I'll forget. Clara's throat tightened. I didn't do it for payment. I know. That's why I'm offering. Sam touched his hat. Get some rest. Tomorrow's gonna be a long day. He left. Clara sat on the bed. Through the wall she could hear Joe coughing. Softer now. Better. Through the window she could see the snow falling. Endless white covering everything. She thought about Thomas, about Boston, about the life she'd left behind. Then she lay down, pulled Mary's quilt over her shoulders, and closed her eyes. For the first time in months, she didn't dream of his hands around her throat. She dreamed of nothing at all. Dawn came gray and cold. Clara woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices downstairs. She dressed quickly, checked her reflection in the small mirror over the dresser. Tired, pale, but alive. That would have to be enough. Downstairs, Sam sat at the kitchen table. Mabel stood at the stove, and in the chair by the fire, wrapped in blankets, sat Joe. His color was better, his breathing steady. When he saw Clara, his face lit up. You came. I told you I would. Clara crossed to him, pressed her hand to his forehead. How do you feel? Better. Joe's voice was still weak, but his eyes were bright. Papa says you're gonna stay. For a while. Forever, Joe said firmly. I want you to stay forever. Clara smiled. We'll see, sweetheart. She glanced up. Sam was watching her. Something soft in his eyes. Something dangerous. Clara looked away. Mabel set a plate on the table. Eat, she said. You're too thin. It wasn't kindness exactly, but it was close. Clara sat down. Outside, the snow had stopped. The sky was clearing. Through the window she could see the ranch stretching out white fields, dark barn horses moving in the corral. A new world. A new life. She picked up her fork. Behind her, Joe laughed at something Sam said. And Clara Whitfield, who'd had nothing but 16 cents and a prayer 3 days ago, let herself feel something she'd forgotten was possible. Hope. The first week passed in a blur of medicine and sleepless nights. Clara fell into a rhythm. Wake before dawn. Check Joe's breathing. Mix his medicine. Sit with him while he ate what little he could manage. The boy was getting stronger. Slowly. But Clara had seen fevers like this before. Recovery wasn't a straight line. It was a winding road with cliffs on either side. "You're hovering," Mabel said on the third morning. Clara looked up from Joe's bedside. The boy was sleeping, his breath steady and clear. "I'm monitoring." "You're hovering." Mabel crossed her arms. "He's fine. You said so yourself. He's better. There's a difference." Mabel studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded. "Fair enough. But you need to eat something. Can't nurse nobody if you fall over dead." Clara wanted to argue, but her stomach growled, betraying her. "Fine." She followed Mabel downstairs. Sam was already gone. "Out with the cattle," Mabel said. He'd been gone before dawn every day since Clara arrived, working himself to exhaustion, avoiding the house, avoiding her. Clara told herself it didn't matter. She was here for Joe, not for Sam Thornton's attention. But she noticed his absence like a cold draft under the door. "Your brother works hard," she said carefully. Mabel snorted. "My brother works himself into the ground because he doesn't know how else to grieve." She set a plate of eggs in front of Clara. "Been that way since Mary died. Thinks if he keeps moving, the pain won't catch up." Clara understood that. She'd done the same thing in Boston. Worked double shifts at the hospital. Volunteered for the cases nobody else wanted. Anything to keep from going home to Thomas. "He loved her," Clara said. "Mary. More than anything." Mabel's voice softened. "They were supposed to have a dozen kids. Fill this house with noise and laughter. Then she got sick, and—" She stopped, shook her head. "Anyway, that's done now. Joe's all Sam has left." Clara looked at her plate, pushed the eggs around with her fork. "He's lucky to have you," she said. "You and Sam both. Not every child has family who'd fight for them." Mabel's eyes sharpened. "You speaking from experience?" Clara set down her fork. "My mother died when I was 12. My father remarried a year later. His new wife had her own children. I was in the way. So what happened? I learned to be useful." Clara's voice was flat. "Learned that if I made myself indispensable, they couldn't throw me out." Mabel was quiet. "Is that why you became a nurse?" "Partly." Clara met her eyes. "Partly because I wanted to help people, and partly because I needed something that was mine. Something nobody could take away." Mabel nodded slowly. "That I understand." Something shifted between them. Not friendship exactly, but recognition. Two women who'd learned to survive in a world that didn't make it easy. "Eat your eggs," Mabel said. "They're getting cold." Clara ate. The days settled into a pattern. Mornings with Joe. Afternoons helping Mabel with the house. Evenings alone in her room, listening to the wind howl across the prairie. Sam came and went like a ghost. He'd check on Joe every night, sitting by the boy's bed for an hour or more. Clara heard him talking sometimes. Low, soft words she couldn't make out. But he never sought her company, never lingered when she entered a room, always found somewhere else to be. It bothered her more than it should have. On the 5th day, Joe was strong enough to come downstairs. Clara carried him to the rocking chair by the fire, wrapped him in quilts, sat beside him while he watched the flames. "Miss Clara." "Yes, sweetheart. Why did you come here?" Clara considered the question. "Because I needed work, and your papa needed help." "But why here?" Joe's brow furrowed. "Montana's real far from everywhere. That's part of why I came." Clara smoothed his hair. Sometimes people need to go far away to find where they belong. Did you belong somewhere before I thought I did? Once. What happened? Clara was quiet for a long moment. I made a mistake, she said finally. I trusted someone I shouldn't have. And when I found out who he really was, I had to leave. Joe processed this with the seriousness of a child twice his age. Was he mean to you? Yes. Like how Billy Martin is mean to the littler kids at church. Something like that. Joe reached out and took her hand. His fingers were small and warm. I won't be mean to you, he said. Neither will Papa. We're nice. Clara's eyes burned. I know you are, sweetheart. The front door opened. Cold air rushed in. Sam stood in the doorway, snow on his shoulders. He looked at Clara and Joe by the fire. Something flickered across his face. Gone before she could name it. Joe. You're up. Miss Clara said I could sit by the fire if I stayed wrapped up. Sam crossed to them, knelt beside his son's chair. How you feeling, buddy? Better? Joe grinned. Miss Clara's been telling me stories. That. So, Sam glanced at Clara. What kind of stories about where she used to live? And why she came here? Sam's expression didn't change. But Clara saw the question in his eyes. Just answering his questions, she said carefully. He's curious. He gets that from his mother. Sam stood. She always wanted to know everything about everybody. The silence stretched. Supper's almost ready. Mabel called from the kitchen. Sam, wash up. You smell like the barn. Sam's mouth twitched. Yes, ma'am. He headed for the pump room. Clara watched him go. Papa likes you, Joe said. Clara startled. What? He looks at you the way he used to look at Mama. Joe's voice was matter of fact, when he thinks nobody's watching. Clara didn't know what to say to that. Supper was quiet. Sam ate fast like always, kept his eyes on his plate. Asked Joe about his day, listened to the boys' answers, nodded in the right places, but Clara felt his attention like heat from the stove. Every time she moved, his eyes flickered toward her. Every time she spoke, he went still. Mabel noticed too. Clara caught her watching them with narrowed eyes. After the dishes were cleared, Sam stood. I need to ride out to the north pasture tomorrow, he said. Check on the herd. In this weather, Mabel frowned. Storm's coming. Can't wait. Lost too many head last winter. I need to know what we're working with. Clara looked up. How many did you lose? Sam's jaw tightened. Enough. Mabel jumped in. Half the cattle in the territory died last winter. Worst anyone's seen. Sam lost near everything. Clara thought of the ranch, the worn furniture, the careful economies she'd noticed: mended curtains, patched boots, meat only at supper. She'd assumed Sam was simply frugal. Now she understood. He was barely hanging on. I'm sorry, she said. Sam shrugged. Weather doesn't care about sorry. You just keep going. He grabbed his coat from the hook. I'll be in the barn if anyone needs me. The door closed behind him. Clara stared after him. Don't take it personal, Mabel said. He gets like this when money's tight. How tight? Tight enough. Mabel started wiping down the table. Bank's been pressing him. Man named Hartley owns half the mortgages in the county. He's been buying up every spread that went under last winter. What does he want with Sam's ranch? Mabel's laugh was bitter. What does any vulture want to pick the bones clean? Clara thought about this. About Sam working himself to exhaustion. About the careful way he rationed supplies. About the fear she sometimes glimpsed behind his stoic mask. She understood debt. She'd drowned in it after Thomas. His gambling, his drinking, his endless schemes, all of it left to her when he fell. Is there anything I can do? She asked. Mabel looked at her strangely. You're already doing it. Joe's getting better. That's one less thing for Sam to worry about. Clara nodded, but it didn't feel like enough. That night she couldn't sleep. She lay in the dark listening to the wind, thinking about Sam, about the weight he carried, about the way he'd looked at her by the fire, hungry and hopeful and terrified all at once. She knew that look. She'd worn it herself once, before Thomas taught her that hope was just another word for disappointment. A sound from downstairs. Footsteps. The creak of a floorboard. Clara rose, pulled on her wrapper, crept down the stairs. Sam sat at the kitchen table. A lamp burned low beside him. Papers spread out in front of him, letters by the look of them, old and worn. He didn't hear her approach. His head was bowed, shoulders hunched. In the lamplight he looked older than his years, tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Sam. He jerked, swept the papers into a pile. Clara. I didn't. What are you doing up? Couldn't sleep. Clara stepped closer. What are those? Nothing. Just old letters. But she'd seen enough. Military insignia on one envelope, a medal glinting among the papers, bronze tarnished. The kind they gave to soldiers. You were in the army, she said. Sam's face closed off. Long time ago. The Indian Wars. He didn't answer, which was answer enough. Clara sat down across from him, uninvited. She didn't care. My father treated soldiers at the hospital, she said. Men who'd come back from the frontier. Some of them couldn't sleep either. Sam was very still. What else couldn't they do? Some couldn't stop seeing what they'd seen. Clara's voice was gentle. Some couldn't forgive themselves for what they'd done. Sam's hands clenched on the table. You don't know what I did. No, I don't. Clara met his eyes. But I know what guilt looks like. I see it every time I look in the mirror. Silence. Sam stared at her. The mask was cracking. She could see the man underneath, wounded, weary, desperately alone. I did things, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. Following orders. Things that made sense at the time. Things I can't take back. We all have things we can't take back. Not like this. Sam shook his head. There was a village, women and children. We were told they were harboring hostiles, but... He stopped, drew a ragged breath. I was 22 years old. I didn't know how to say no. Clara reached across the table, took his hand. He flinched, but he didn't pull away. You were a boy, she said. Following orders from men who should have known better. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. Clara's grip tightened. But carrying it alone won't make it right either. Sam looked at their joined hands, at her face. Why are you being kind to me? Because someone was kind to me once. Clara thought of the nurse who'd helped her after Thomas's worst beating, who'd asked no questions, made no judgments, who'd simply bandaged her wounds and told her she deserved better. I'm trying to pay it forward. Sam was quiet for a long time. Mary knew, he said finally. I told her everything before we married. She said it didn't change how she felt. Clara waited, but after she died, Sam's voice cracked. I started thinking maybe it was punishment. Maybe God was taking from me what I'd taken from others. That's not how it works. Isn't it? Sam's eyes were wet. I killed children, and then my wife died giving me one. Tell me that's not justice. Clara squeezed his hand hard enough to hurt. Listen to me. Mary died because childbirth is dangerous and doctors don't know enough to stop it. Not because of anything you did. Not because God was punishing you. She died because sometimes terrible things happen to good people and there's no reason for it at all. Sam stared at her. You believe that I have to. Clara's voice shook. Because if I don't, if everything that happens is punishment for our sins, then I deserved what Thomas did to me. And I refuse to believe that. The words hung in the air. Sam turned his hand over, laced his fingers through hers. You didn't deserve it, he said. Whatever he did. You didn't deserve any of it. Neither did you. They sat in the lamplight, hands joined. Two people carrying burdens too heavy for one person alone. Clara knew she should pull away, should go back to bed, should maintain the distance that kept her safe. But she didn't move. And neither did Sam. The moment broke when the lamp guttered. Sam released her hand, stood. "You should get some sleep," he said. His voice was rough. "Joe will be up early." Clara nodded, rose from her chair. "Sam?" He paused at the stairs. "Thank you," she said, "for trusting me." He looked at her for a long moment. "Thank you for listening." He disappeared up the stairs. Clara stood alone in the dark kitchen, her hand still warm where he'd held it. She was in trouble, deep, dangerous trouble. But for the first time in years, she didn't want to run. The storm hit the next afternoon. Sam had ridden out at dawn despite Mabel's protests. Clara watched him go from the window, a knot of worry in her chest. By noon, the sky had turned black. Wind screamed across the prairie. Snow fell so thick you couldn't see the barn. "He'll find shelter," Mabel said. She was pacing, arms crossed. "He knows this land." Clara nodded. But the worry didn't ease. Joe picked up on the tension. He grew quiet, watchful, kept looking toward the window. "Is Papa coming back?" "Of course he is," Clara said. The storm just slowed him down. But the hours passed, and Sam didn't return. By evening, Clara couldn't sit still anymore. She helped Mabel prepare supper, played cards with Joe, read him stories until he fell asleep in her arms. The wind howled, the house shook, and still no Sam. "I'm going to look for him," Mabel said suddenly. Clara's head snapped up. "You can't. You'll get lost in 5 minutes. I can't just sit here, neither can I. But going out there won't help anyone." Clara's voice was firm. "Sam survived worse than this. He'll come back." Mabel stared at her, then slumped into a chair. "I hate this," she said. "Hate waiting. Hate not knowing." "I know. How do you do it?" Mabel's voice was raw. "How do you stay so calm?" Clara almost laughed. "I'm not calm. I'm terrified. But panicking won't bring him home faster." They waited. Midnight came and went. Clara dozed in the chair by the fire, jerking awake at every sound. Then hoofbeats, faint through the wind, but unmistakable. Mabel was at the door before Clara could stand. Sam stumbled across the threshold coated in ice. His face was gray, his lips blue. He moved like a man half frozen. Inside. Clara grabbed his arm. "Now!" She and Mabel half carried him to the fire, stripped off his frozen coat, wrapped him in every blanket they could find. Sam's teeth chattered so hard he couldn't speak. "Hot water," Clara said. "And broth if we have it." Mabel ran. Clara chafed Sam's hands between hers. His skin was like ice. "Stay with me." She kept her voice steady. "Don't you dare give up now." Sam's eyes found hers. He tried to smile. "Wouldn't dream of it." The color came back slowly. Clara made him drink hot broth, made him sit by the fire until his shivering stopped, made him tell her what happened. Horse threw a shoe. Sam's voice was hoarse. Had to walk the last 3 miles. In that storm, Mabel looked ready to hit him. "You could have died." Didn't, though. Sam's eyes went to Clara. Had something to come back for. Clara's heart stuttered. Mabel saw. Her expression shifted, but she said nothing. "Bed," Clara ordered. "Now. You need rest." "Yes, ma'am." Sam stood, swayed slightly, steadied himself on the chair. Clara moved without thinking, slipped under his arm, let him lean on her. He was heavy, solid, warm now finally. They made it to the stairs, up one step at a time. At his door, Sam paused. "Clara." She looked up. "Thank you," he said. "For waiting. I'll always wait." The words slipped out before she could stop them. Too honest. Too much. Sam's eyes darkened. Don't make promises you can't keep. I don't. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he leaned down. His lips brushed her forehead. Gentle. Brief. Good night, Clara. Good night, Sam. She watched him disappear into his room. Then she went to hers, closed the door, pressed her back against it. Her heart was pounding. She was definitely in trouble. Morning brought clear skies and a visitor. Clara was helping Joe with his breakfast when she heard hoofbeats. Looked out the window. A man was riding up to the house. Well-dressed. Too well-dressed for ranch country. His coat was new, his horse expensive. Mabel appeared at her shoulder. "Hartley," she said. Her voice was ice. Clara watched the man dismount. He moved with the easy confidence of someone who'd never been refused anything in his life. What does he want? Same thing he always wants. Mabel's jaw tightened. To squeeze blood from a stone. The front door opened without a knock. Victor Hartley stepped inside like he owned the place. He was younger than Clara expected. 40 maybe. Handsome in a sharp, predatory way. His eyes swept the room, taking inventory. Landing on Clara. Well, well. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Sam's hired himself a nurse. How domestic. Clara straightened. Can I help you, Mr. Hartley? That depends. Are you the one making decisions around here? No. Sam's voice came from the stairs. He descended slowly, deliberately. His face was a mask. What do you want, Victor? Just a friendly visit. Hartley's smile widened. Wanted to see how you're weathering the season. I heard about your boy's illness. Terrible thing. He's fine. Thanks for your concern. Sam's voice said clearly that he wasn't thankful at all. Hartley ignored the tone. He strolled to the window, looked out at the snow-covered ranch. Lovely property, he said. Shame about the mortgage. The mortgage is my business. It's my business too. I hold the note after all. Hartley turned. And it's coming due, Sam. End of February. You have the funds. Silence. Clara watched Sam's hands curl into fists. I'll have them. Will you? Hartley tilted his head. Word is you lost half your herd. The math doesn't work in your favor. Then I'll find another way. Hartley smiled. There's always another way. He pulled a paper from his coat. I'm prepared to offer you a very generous deal. 50 cents on the dollar for the whole spread. You walk away clean. I'm not selling. Think about it, Sam. Hartley set the paper on the table. You've got a sick child, a failing ranch, and no wife to help you manage. How long can you keep this up? As long as I have to. Hartley's eyes slid to Clara. And who is this, your new help? She's none of your concern. Clara Whitfield. Clara stepped forward. And Mr. Thornton is right. I'm none of your concern. Hartley studied her. Something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Interest Whitfield. He rolled the name around. From Boston by your accent. Long way from home. Clara's blood chilled. I travel light. Clearly. Hartley smiled. Well, Miss Whitfield. Or is it Mrs.? Mrs. Clara's voice was steady, though not for much longer. Ah, a woman escaping an unhappy marriage. How very modern. Clara wanted to slap him, but she kept her hands at her sides. Is there a point to this visit, Mr. Hartley? Or did you just come to waste our time? Hartley laughed. I like her, Sam. She's got spirit. He picked up his hat. I'll leave you to consider my offer, but don't take too long. The wolves are circling, and I'm the only one offering you a way out. He tipped his hat to Clara. Mrs. Whitfield. A pleasure. The door closed behind him. Silence. Sam stood rigid, staring at the paper on the table. I'm not selling, he said again. To himself as much as anyone. Clara crossed to him. How much do you owe? Doesn't matter. Sam. She touched his arm. How much? He was quiet for a long moment. $800. His voice was hollow. Due end of February. Clara's heart sank. $800. A fortune. What happens if you can't pay? He takes everything. Sam finally looked at her. The ranch, the cattle, Joe's home. Clara thought of Joe, of the way he'd lit up when he saw the horses, of the bedroom upstairs that had been his whole world. We'll find a way, she said. There is no way. Sam shook his head. I've got maybe 300 in cattle I can sell. That leaves 500 I don't have. Then we'll find 500. Clara. Sam's voice cracked. Why do you keep saying we? Clara met his eyes. Because you're not alone anymore, she said, whether you like it or not. Sam stared at her, and for just a moment the mask slipped. She saw hope there, raw and terrified and desperately alive. Then Joe's voice came from upstairs. Miss Clara, I don't feel good. Clara squeezed Sam's arm. We're not done talking about this. She turned and headed for the stairs. Behind her she heard Sam pick up Hartley's paper, heard it crumple in his fist. Joe was flushed again. Not as bad as before, but worrying. Clara checked his temperature, felt his forehead, listened to his breathing. Just tired, she decided. The excitement wore him out. She tucked him back into bed, smoothed his hair. Miss Clara. Yes, sweetheart. Joe's eyes were huge and serious. Are you going to leave Clara's heart clenched? Not today, but someday. She wanted to lie, wanted to promise forever, but she'd been lied to enough to know how much it hurt. I don't know, she said honestly, but I'll tell you before I go. I promise. Joe considered this. What if I asked you to stay? Then I'd think about it very hard. What if Papa asked you? Clara went still. What do you mean? Joe's voice was small, hopeful. Papa needs someone to take care of him. And I need a mama. You could be both. Clara's throat closed. Joe, sweetheart. I know you're not my real mama. Joe's eyes filled with tears. But you could be my other mama. The one who stays. Clara gathered him into her arms, held him tight. Oh, sweetheart. Will you think about it? Joe's voice was muffled against her shoulder. Please. Clara closed her eyes. She thought of Sam, of Hartley, of Thomas, of everything she'd run from and everything she'd found. She thought of this small, motherless boy who wanted nothing more than someone to stay. I'll think about it, she whispered. I promise. Joe held on tighter, and Clara, who'd sworn never to let herself need anyone again, felt the last of her walls begin to crumble. Joe's question haunted Clara for days. What if Papa asked you to stay? She tried to push it away, tried to focus on her work, but every time Sam looked at her, every time their hands brushed passing dishes at supper, every time she heard him talking to Joe in that low, gentle voice, the question came back. What if he asked? What would she say? A week after Hartley's visit, Clara was hanging laundry on the line when she heard hoofbeats. Her hands went still. Her heart hammered. But it wasn't Hartley returning. It wasn't Thomas's brothers finally catching up. It was a woman. She rode a paint horse, sat straight-backed despite the cold. Dark hair streaked with gray braided down her back. Her face was weathered-lined, unreadable. Native American. Crow maybe by her dress. Clara watched her approach. Didn't know what to do. What to say. The woman stopped her horse at the edge of the yard. Her eyes swept over Clara. Taking measure. You are the healer, she said. Her English was accented but clear. The one who saved the boy. Clara nodded slowly. I'm a nurse. The woman dismounted, moved with the easy grace of someone who'd spent her life on horseback. I am Elena Redhawk. I knew the boy's mother. Clara's breath caught. You knew Mary. She came to me when the white doctors could not help. Elena's voice was matter of fact. I gave her medicines for the pain. We became friends. Clara didn't know what to say. 100 questions crowded her mind. The front door slammed open. Sam stood on the porch. His face had gone white. "Elena." "Sam Thornton." Elena inclined her head. "It has been a long time. I told you not to come here." Clara stared at him. She'd never heard that tone from Sam before. Cold, hard, almost cruel. Elena didn't flinch. "Your son was sick. I came to offer help. We don't need your help." Sam. Clara stepped forward. "She's a healer. If she knew Mary, stay out of this, Clara." The words hit like a slap. Clara went silent, but she didn't back down. She watched Sam's face, saw the war there, fear and anger, and something that looked almost like shame. Elena watched too. "You still carry it," she said quietly. "The guilt. I said we don't need your help. Your wife forgave you." Elena's voice was gentle. "She told me so before she died. She said you were a good man who did a terrible thing and she loved you anyway." Sam's hands were shaking. "Get off my land." Elena looked at him for a long moment, then she nodded. "When you are ready to face your ghosts, you know where to find me." She mounted her horse, turned to Clara. "Watch over them, healer. They need you more than they know." She rode away. Silence. Clara turned to Sam. "What was that about nothing?" "Don't lie to me." Clara's voice was sharp. "That woman knew your wife. She came to help. And you threw her out. Like I said, it's nothing." Sam's voice rose. "Just leave it alone." Clara flinched. She didn't mean to. It was instinct, years of conditioning. When Thomas raised his voice, pain followed. Sam saw it. His face changed. The anger drained away, replaced by horror. "Clara! God! Clara, I didn't mean, I know." Clara's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. "I know you didn't." Sam stepped toward her, stopped. His hands fell to his sides. "I would never hurt you. I know." But she'd flinched, and they both knew why. Sam sat down on the porch steps, put his head in his hands. Clara hesitated. Then she sat beside him. They didn't touch. The space between them felt vast. "Tell me," Clara said finally, "about Elena, about what you did." Sam was quiet for a long time. "I told you about the war," he said, "the village, the women and children." Clara nodded. "Elena's sister was there." Clara's blood went cold. "Oh, Sam. She survived." Sam's voice was hollow. "Because I pulled her out of a burning tent and hid her until my unit moved on. I was 19 years old, and I couldn't just watch her die." Clara waited. "Elena found me years later, after the war. She wanted to thank me." Sam laughed bitterly. "Thank me. For saving one life after helping destroy dozens. So you pushed her away." "I couldn't stand looking at her. Couldn't stand being reminded." Sam finally looked at Clara. "Mary was the only one who knew. She made me talk to Elena, made me face what I'd done. And then Mary died and I—" "You blamed yourself. Easier than blaming God." Clara reached out, took his hand. He gripped it like a drowning man. "Elena doesn't blame you," she said softly. "She should. Maybe. But she doesn't, and neither does her sister, or she wouldn't have sent Elena to thank you." Sam shook his head. "It doesn't matter. What I did, what I was part of, it can't be forgiven." Clara squeezed his hand. "I used to think that too," she said. "About myself. About what I did to Thomas." Sam looked at her. "You defended yourself. I pushed him down the stairs." Clara's voice was flat. "I watched him fall, heard his spine break. And for one moment, just one moment, I was glad." "That's not the same thing." "Isn't it?" Clara met his eyes. "I wanted him dead, Sam. I'd fantasized about it for years. When he finally fell, part of me was relieved. Because he was hurting you. Because I was tired of being hurt." Clara's voice cracked. "But wanting someone dead is still wanting someone dead. And when it almost happened, when I almost got what I wanted, I didn't feel righteous. I felt sick." Sam was quiet. "What did you do?" "I ran." Clara pulled her hand away, wrapped her arms around herself. I ran because I was afraid they'd hang me, but also because I was afraid of who I'd become. Someone who could stand over a broken man and feel relief. Sam studied her face. You're not that person. How do you know? Because you spent all night saving my son's life. Because you've been kind to Joe when you didn't have to be. Because you're sitting here with me right now instead of running from my sins. Clara's eyes burned. I'm good at running, she whispered. It's staying that's hard. Sam reached for her hand again, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Then stay, he said. Clara looked at him. At this broken, guilty, tender man who'd offered her shelter without asking questions, who'd trusted her with his son, who'd held her hand in the dark and told her she didn't deserve what had happened to her. Sam, The front door opened. Mabel stood there, an envelope in her hand. Her face was pale. Clara, this just came. Clara's heart stopped. She took the envelope, looked at the return address. Boston. Her hands started shaking. What is it? Sam stood. Clara. She opened it, read the words. The world tilted. Sam's voice was far away. What does it say? She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Sam took the letter from her hands. Read it aloud. To the postmaster of Copper Creek. We are seeking information regarding the whereabouts of Clara Marie Whitfield, formerly of Boston, Massachusetts. Mrs. Whitfield is wanted for questioning in the assault of her husband, Dr. Thomas Whitfield. A reward of $50 is offered for information leading to her location. Please contact the law offices of Whitfield and Associates at the address below. Silence. Clara couldn't look at him, couldn't look at either of them. They know, she whispered. They're looking for me. Who's looking? Mabel demanded. Who are these people? My husband's family. Clara's voice was hollow. Thomas's father is a judge. His brother is the district attorney. They have money and power, and they won't stop until what Sam's voice was sharp. What do they want, Justice? Clara laughed bitterly. Or what they call justice. They want me to pay for what I did to their golden boy. Sam crumpled the letter in his fist. You defended yourself. That's not how they see it. Clara finally looked at him. To them, I'm a fortune hunter who married Thomas for his money and tried to kill him when I didn't get what I wanted. That's a lie. It doesn't matter. Clara's voice broke. They have lawyers. They have connections. They have a crippled son who needs someone to blame. And I'm the easiest target. Sam grabbed her shoulders. Clara, look at me. She looked. His eyes were fierce, blazing. You're not going anywhere. You hear me? I don't care who's looking for you. I don't care how much money they have. This is my ranch and you're under my protection. Sam, you don't understand. I understand plenty. Sam's grip tightened. I understand that a man hurt you, and now his family wants to hurt you more. I understand that you ran because you had no choice. And I understand that I'm not going to let them take you. Clara stared at him. Why? Her voice was barely a whisper. Why risk everything for me? Sam's face softened. You know why. Clara's heart hammered. She did know. She'd known for days, maybe weeks. She'd just been too afraid to admit it. Sam. Later. Sam released her shoulders. Right now we need to think. Mabel stepped forward. That letter went to the postmaster, she said. Earl Jennings. He's a gossip and a drunk, but he's not malicious. I can talk to him, see if he'll keep quiet. And if he won't, then we'll deal with that when it happens. Sam's jaw tightened. First things first. Clara doesn't leave this ranch until we know what we're dealing with. I can't hide forever. You're not hiding. You're being careful. Sam looked at her. There's a difference. Clara wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him it was hopeless that the Whitfields always got what they wanted, that she'd been a fool to think she could escape. But Sam's eyes held hers, and she couldn't find the words. Trust me, he said. Please. Clara took a breath. All right. Mabel left for town within the hour. Clara sat in the kitchen staring at nothing. Joe was napping upstairs. Sam was in the barn doing chores, burning off the angry energy that had nowhere else to go. She should leave. She knew that. Every minute she stayed put Sam and Joe and Mabel at risk. But she couldn't make herself move. She was so tired of running. Footsteps on the porch. The door opened. Clara looked up expecting Sam. It was Elena Redhawk. Clara stood. What are you doing here? I saw Mabel ride past. Elena's voice was calm. She looked troubled. I thought perhaps you needed help. Clara almost laughed. Help? Yes. She needed help. She needed a miracle. Did Sam send you? Sam does not know I am here. Elena moved closer, and he would not approve. But I have learned that sometimes the ones who push us away are the ones who need us most. Clara sank back into her chair. Elena sat across from her. Tell me, the older woman said. So Clara told her. Everything. Thomas. Boston. The stairs. The letter. Elena listened without interrupting. When Clara finished, the silence stretched. You carry much weight, Elena said finally. I'm used to it. That is not the same as being able to bear it. Elena leaned forward. You love Sam. It wasn't a question. Clara's throat tightened. It doesn't matter what I feel. If I stay, I'll destroy him. If you leave, you will destroy him too. Elena's eyes were knowing. And yourself. I can't win. Perhaps not. Elena's voice was gentle. But you can choose which battle to fight. And fighting alongside people who love you is always better than fighting alone. Clara's eyes burned. He deserves someone without baggage. Someone who won't bring trouble to his door. He deserves to choose for himself. Elena stood. As do you. She moved toward the door, paused. My sister tells a story, she said, about a soldier who pulled her from fire when he could have let her burn. She says he was young and frightened and did a terrible thing. But in that moment he chose mercy, and that choice saved her life. Clara looked up. Sam thinks he's beyond redemption, Elena continued. Just as you think you are beyond safety. But redemption is not given. It is built one choice at a time. And so is safety. She opened the door. Choose to stay healer. Choose to fight. And let Sam make his choice too. She left. Clara sat alone in the kitchen, Elena's words echoing in her mind. Choose to stay. Choose to fight. She thought of Joe upstairs sleeping. Of his small voice asking if she could be his other mama. She thought of Sam, fierce-eyed, telling her she was under his protection. She thought of Mabel riding to town to protect a woman she barely knew. She thought of everything she'd lost, everything she'd run from, and she made a choice. When Sam came in from the barn, Clara was waiting. He stopped in the doorway. Snow on his shoulders, worry in his eyes. Clara. She crossed to him, stood close enough to touch. I'm not leaving, she said. Sam went still. The letter, I know about the letter. Clara's voice was steady. I know they're looking for me. I know staying puts you at risk, but I'm done running. Clara. Let me finish. She took a breath. I've been running for months, running from Thomas, from his family, from everything I was afraid of. And I'm tired. I'm so tired of being afraid. Sam's hands came up, cupped her face. You don't have to be afraid here. I know. Clara's eyes met his. That's why I'm staying. Because for the first time in years I feel safe. Because Joe needs me. Because Mabel actually seems to like me. Because... She stopped. Because what Sam's voice was rough. Because I love you. The words hung in the air. Sam's hands trembled against her face. Clara. You don't have to say it back. Clara's voice shook. I just needed you to know. Before everything falls apart. Before the Whitfields come. Before Clara. What stopped talking? Sam kissed her. Soft at first, tentative, then deeper, fiercer, as if he'd been holding back for weeks and couldn't anymore. Clara melted into him. Her hands found his chest, his shoulders, the back of his neck. She'd forgotten what it felt like to be kissed like this, like she was precious, like she mattered. When they finally broke apart, Sam pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you too," he said, in case that wasn't clear. Clara laughed. It came out wet, tangled with tears. It was getting there. Sam pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her, held her like he'd never let go. "We'll figure this out," he said. "Whatever comes, we'll face it together." Clara buried her face in his shoulder. "I know." And for the first time since Boston, she actually believed it. Mabel returned at dusk. Her face was grim. Clara and Sam were in the kitchen sitting close together. They hadn't talked about what came next, hadn't needed to. The kiss had said everything. But Mabel's expression drove away the warmth. "What is it?" Sam stood. "What happened?" Earl read the letter. Mabel's voice was tight. "And he's not the only one. Hartley was in the post office when it arrived." Clara's blood went cold. "Hartley knows. He knows enough." Mabel sat down heavily. "He was asking questions. About you, about where you came from, about why you're here." Sam's face darkened. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing. But Earl's not so careful." Mabel looked at Clara. "Hartley knows you're from Boston, and he knows someone's looking for you." Clara's mind raced. "He'll use it," she said. "Against Sam. Against the ranch. Of course he will." Mabel's jaw tightened. That man would sell his own mother if the price was right. Sam slammed his fist on the table. "Damn it. We need to think." Clara's voice was calm. "If Hartley contacts the Whitfields..." "He won't. Not yet." Mabel shook her head. "Hartley's smart. He'll wait. See how he can use this to his advantage." "The mortgage," Sam said. "Exactly." Mabel looked at him. "He's been trying to get this ranch for months. Now he's got leverage. He doesn't have anything." Clara stood. "The letter is a request for information, not a warrant. The Whitfields have no legal authority in Montana. They've got money," Sam said. "Money buys authority. Not always." Clara's mind was working. "My father was a lawyer before he was a doctor. I know how these things work. The Whitfields can't compel anyone to send me back. They can ask. They can offer rewards, but they can't force anything. And if they send someone to take you..." Sam's voice was rough. "Then I'll need protection. You've got it, Sam." Clara turned to face him. "I mean real protection. Legal protection." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that a widow is vulnerable. A woman with a husband is not." The room went silent. Sam stared at her. "Clara, I'm not proposing." Her voice wavered. I'm saying that if we were married, the Whitfields couldn't touch me. Not without going through you. And the divorce from Thomas isn't final yet." Clara's heart sank. "I know. It's complicated." "Complicated." Sam laughed bitterly. "That's one word for it. I shouldn't have said anything." Clara turned away. "It was stupid. I wasn't thinking. You were thinking." Sam caught her arm, turned her back. "You were thinking about survival, about protection, about us." Clara's voice broke. "I was thinking about us." Sam's grip softened. "Clara, if I could marry you tomorrow, I would. But you can't." "No." Sam's eyes were anguished. "Not while you're still legally bound to him. Not while there's any chance they could use it against us." Clara nodded. She'd known. She'd just hoped. But hoping was dangerous. She knew that better than anyone. "We'll find another way," Sam said. "What way I don't know. But we'll find it." Sam pulled her into his arms. "I'm not losing you. Not to Hartley. Not to the Whitfields. Not to anyone." Clara held on to him. Outside the wind was rising, a storm coming. But inside, wrapped in Sam's arms, Clara felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The knock came 3 days later. Clara was alone in the house. Sam was in the barn. Mabel had taken Joe to town for supplies. The knock was sharp, demanding. Clara's heart stopped. She went to the door, opened it. A man stood on the porch. Young, well-dressed, with cold blue eyes she recognized immediately. "Hello, Clara," he said. "You're a hard woman to find." Edward Whitfield, Thomas's younger brother. Clara's blood turned to ice. "How did you find me?" Edward smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "A friend in town sent word. Apparently there's a banker who is very interested in your whereabouts. Hartley." Clara's hands clenched. "What do you want?" "You know what I want." Edward stepped forward. Clara stepped back. "You put my brother in a wheelchair. My family wants justice." "Your brother put his hands around my throat. I defended myself." "That's not how Thomas tells it." "Thomas is a liar." Clara's voice shook. "He beat me for 3 years. He would have killed me if I hadn't. If you hadn't pushed him down the stairs." Edward's smile sharpened. "Yes, we know. And now you're going to come back to Boston and answer for it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm afraid you don't have a choice." Edward pulled a paper from his coat. "This is a warrant for your arrest, signed by Judge Whitfield. It may not have legal force in Montana, but I assure you, I'll find a way to make it stick." Clara stared at the paper. Her world was collapsing. Everything she'd built, everything she'd hoped for crumbling. Edward reached for her arm. The barn door slammed open. Sam crossed the yard in 5 strides. He put himself between Clara and Edward, his body a shield. "Get away from her." Edward's eyes narrowed. "And you are the man who's going to break your arm if you touch her again." Sam's voice was deadly calm. "Get off my property. I'm here on legal business. I don't care if you're here on God's business. You've got 10 seconds to get on your horse before I make you." Edward looked at Sam, at the coiled violence in his stance, at the absolute certainty in his eyes. He took a step back. "This isn't over," he said. "My family has resources you can't imagine, and I have a shotgun and a short temper." Sam stepped forward. 8 seconds. Edward retreated to his horse, mounted. "We'll be back, Clara." He looked at her over Sam's shoulder. "You can't hide forever." He rode away. Clara sagged against the doorframe. Sam turned, caught her before she could fall. "Clara." "Clara, look at me." She looked. His face was fierce, protective, furious. "I'm going to keep you safe," he said, "whatever it takes." Clara wanted to believe him, but Edward Whitfield's words echoed in her mind. "You can't hide forever." He was right. She couldn't run anymore, which meant she had to fight. Sam didn't sleep that night. Clara heard him pacing downstairs, heard the creak of floorboards, the occasional scrape of a chair. He was planning, worrying, preparing for a fight he didn't know how to win. She lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. Edward Whitfield was here, in Montana. He'd found her. Everything she'd built in the last few weeks. The safety, the hope, the fragile beginning of something beautiful with Sam, all of it was crumbling. She should leave. Pack her bag and disappear before dawn. Lead Edward away from this ranch, away from Sam and Joe and Mabel. Protect them by removing herself from the equation. But she'd promised to stay. And Clara was tired of breaking promises. Morning came gray and cold. Clara found Sam in the kitchen, coffee untouched in front of him. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked up when she entered. "You should have slept," Clara said. "Couldn't." Sam pushed a chair out for her. "Sit." She sat. "I've been thinking," Sam said. "About Whitfield." "About what he said." "Sam, let me finish." Sam's jaw tightened. "He came here with a warrant that ain't worth the paper it's printed on. He threatened you on my property. And he mentioned Hartley by name." Clara nodded slowly. "They're working together," Sam said. "Has to be." Hartley tips off the Whitfields, and in exchange, he gets the ranch. Clara's stomach turned. Edward helps pressure you into selling. Son of a bitch. Sam's fist hit the table. I knew Hartley was low. But this? What do? We fight. Sam's eyes met hers. I ain't selling this ranch. And I ain't letting them take you. How? Clara's voice cracked. Edward has money lawyers' connections. We have each other. Sam reached across the table. Took her hand. We have Mabel. We have the truth. And we have people in this town who know what kind of man Hartley really is. That might not be enough. Then we'll make it enough. Clara wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But she'd seen what the Whitfields could do. She'd watched them destroy reputations, buy judges, bury evidence. They'd turned her own family against her with nothing but whispers and money. Sam didn't understand what he was up against. The door opened. Mabel came in, Joe at her heels. The boy ran straight to Clara. Miss Clara, I saw a fox. Clara pulled him into her arms, held him tight. Did you, sweetheart? It was red and fluffy and it looked at me. Joe's voice was bright with excitement. Aunt Mabel said it was hunting for breakfast. Smart fox. Clara smoothed his hair. Did you say good morning to Papa? Joe squirmed free, ran to Sam. Morning, Papa. Can we go see the horses? After breakfast, buddy. Sam ruffled his hair. Go wash up. Joe ran off. Clara watched him go. Her heart ached. This is what she was fighting for. This boy. This family. This life that could be hers if she was brave enough to claim it. Mabel sat down heavily. I heard about yesterday, she said. About Whitfield. Word travels fast, Sam muttered. Mrs. Patterson saw him ride out. Told half the town before supper. Mabel looked at Clara. They're saying you're a murderess. Clara's blood went cold. That's not true. I know it ain't. But truth doesn't matter when people want to believe the worst. Mabel's voice was grim. Hartley's been spreading stories. Says you killed your husband and came here to hide. He's not dead. Clara's voice shook. Thomas is alive. I didn't kill anyone. Doesn't matter. Once people start talking, Mabel shook her head. You know how it is. Clara did know. She'd lived it in Boston. The whispers that followed her everywhere. The way old friends crossed the street to avoid her. The slow suffocation of being judged for something she hadn't done. What do? She asked. We keep our heads down. Mabel stood. We don't give them anything else to talk about, and we pray this blows over before. Before what Mabel didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. Before it destroys us all. 3 days passed. Clara stayed close to the ranch. Didn't go to town. Didn't give anyone more ammunition. Sam worked the cattle, keeping busy, keeping alert. Every rider that passed the ranch made him reach for his rifle. Joe didn't understand the tension. He played, laughed, asked Clara to read him stories. His world was small and safe, and Clara was determined to keep it that way. On the 4th day, everything changed. It started with the water. Clara was making breakfast when Joe came downstairs, pale and sweating. Miss Clara, my tummy hurts. She put her hand on his forehead. No fever, but his skin was clammy, his eyes dull. When did it start, sweetheart? This morning. Joe clutched his stomach. After I drank water. Clara's heart stopped. What water from the pump? Joe's face crumpled. I was thirsty. Clara ran. She found Sam in the barn saddling his horse. The well, she gasped. Something's wrong with the well. What? Joe's sick. He drank water this morning and now Clara couldn't finish. Sam dropped the saddle, ran past her toward the house. By the time Clara caught up, Joe was vomiting. Sam held his son over a basin, his face white with terror. Joe, talk to me. Papa. Joe's voice was weak. It hurts. I know, buddy. I know. Sam looked at Clara. What do we do? Clara's mind raced. Poisoned water. Could be contamination. Could be deliberate. Don't let him drink anything else, she said. I need to check the well. She ran outside, found the pump, drew water into a bucket. The smell hit her immediately. Something chemical. Bitter. Wrong. Oh, God. She dropped the bucket, ran back inside. The well's been poisoned, she said. Don't let anyone drink from it. Sam's face went from white to gray. Poisoned. How? I don't know. Clara knelt beside Joe. Right now I need to focus on him. The next hour was a nightmare. Joe couldn't keep anything down. His small body heaved and shook. Clara gave him small sips of milk from the icebox, the only thing she trusted, and prayed it would dilute whatever was in his system. Mabel rode for town to fetch help. Sam wouldn't leave Joe's side. He held his son's hand, whispered reassurances, looked at Clara with desperate eyes. Is he going to be all right? I don't know. Clara's voice was steady, but her hands shook. Depends on what's in the water. How much he drank. He's just a boy. Sam's voice cracked. He's just a little boy. Clara put her hand on Sam's shoulder. He's strong. He survived the fever. He'll survive this too. But she wasn't sure, and Sam could tell. By midday, Joe was worse. He'd stopped vomiting, but his breathing was shallow. His pulse was weak. His skin had taken on a grayish tinge that made Clara's stomach clench with fear. She'd done everything she knew to do, and it wasn't enough. Sam sat in the chair beside Joe's bed holding his son's hand. He hadn't spoken in an hour. Clara watched them from the doorway. She'd failed. She'd promised to protect this boy, and she'd failed. There's one more thing, she said quietly. Sam looked up. Elena. Sam's face hardened. No. She's a healer. She might know what's in the well, might know how to treat it. I said no. Sam. Clara's voice sharpened. Your son is dying. The words hung in the air. Sam flinched like she'd struck him. I can't, he whispered. I can't face her. Not after... After what? After you saved her sister's life. Clara moved closer. Sam, Elena doesn't blame you. She never did. But right now, your guilt is keeping you from helping Joe. It's not about guilt. Then what is it about? Sam was silent. Clara knelt beside him. I know you did terrible things, she said softly. I know you carry them every day. But this isn't about you. This is about Joe. And if Elena can help him, we have to try. Sam looked at his son, at the small pale face, at the shallow rise and fall of his chest. Something broke in his expression. All right, he said. Go. Find her. Clara stood. I'll be back as fast as I can. Clara. Sam caught her hand. If he... Sam couldn't finish. If anything happens while you're gone, it won't. Clara squeezed his fingers. Hold on, both of you. She ran. Elena's cabin was 3 miles east past the creek in a hollow sheltered by cottonwoods. Clara rode like the devil was chasing her. When she reached the cabin, Elena was already outside, waiting. I knew you would come, Elena said. Joe's sick. Clara dismounted, breathing hard. The well was poisoned. I've done everything I know, but it's not enough. Elena nodded. Show me what the water looked like. Clara described it. The smell, the color, the way Joe's symptoms had progressed. Elena's expression darkened. Arsenic, she said. Someone put arsenic in your well. Clara's blood went cold. Can you help him? Perhaps? Elena moved into her cabin, emerged with a leather bag. I have medicines, but we must hurry. They rode hard. Clara's mind spun with questions. Who had poisoned the well? Hartley Edward. Both it didn't matter now. All that mattered was Joe. When they reached the ranch, Sam met them at the door. His eyes went to Elena. Something passed between them, years of guilt and forgiveness compressed into a single look. "Thank you," he said, "for coming." Elena inclined her head. "Take me to the boy." Sam led her upstairs. Clara followed. Joe lay in his bed, barely breathing. His lips had gone blue. Elena sat beside him, placed her hand on his forehead, listened to his breath. Then she opened her bag. She worked quickly, mixing powders with water, heating them over a candle. Her hands were sure practiced. She'd done this before. "Hold his head up," she told Clara. "He must drink." Clara cradled Joe's head. Elena pressed the cup to his lips. "Drink, little one," Elena murmured. "Drink and live." Joe swallowed, coughed, swallowed more. Clara watched his face, watched for any sign of change. Minutes passed, hours maybe. Time lost meaning. Then Joe's breathing eased. His color started to return. The grayish tinge faded. His pulse grew stronger under Clara's fingers. "He's going to live," Elena said. Sam made a sound, half sob, half prayer. Clara's legs gave out. She sat on the floor beside Joe's bed and let the tears come. Elena stayed through the night. She taught Clara which herbs to use, how to mix them, how often to give them. She talked about poisons and antidotes, about the old medicines her grandmother had taught her. Sam sat in the corner watching, listening. When dawn came, Elena prepared to leave. Sam met her at the door. "I owe you," he said. "More than I can ever repay. You owe me nothing." Elena's voice was gentle. "Your debt was paid long ago, Sam Thornton. My sister lives because of you. Now your son lives because of me. We are even." Sam shook his head. "I don't deserve." Elena cut him off. "That word means nothing. We do not get what we deserve. We get what we are given. And then we choose what to do with it." Sam was silent. "You chose to save my sister." Elena continued. "When you could have let her die, you chose mercy. That is who you are, Sam Thornton. Not the soldier who followed orders, the man who defied them." Sam's eyes were wet. "How do you forgive me?" "I forgave you years ago." Elena touched his arm. "The question is, when will you forgive yourself?" She walked past him into the morning light. Sam watched her go. Clara came up beside him. "You okay?" she asked softly. "No." Sam's voice was rough. "But I'm getting there." He put his arm around her. They stood together in the doorway, watching Elena ride away. Joe slept for 2 days. When he woke, he was weak but clear-eyed. He asked for water. Clara gave him clean water from the barrel Mabel had brought from town. "Miss Clara." "Yes, sweetheart. Did I almost die again?" Clara smoothed his hair. "You got very sick. But you're better now." Joe considered this. "That's 2 times you saved me. I had help this time. A friend came to help." "The Indian lady?" Clara nodded. "She seemed nice." Joe's eyes were heavy. "I dreamed about her. She was singing. She probably was." Joe smiled. "I'm glad I didn't die. I would have missed you." Clara's throat tightened. "I would have missed you too, sweetheart." Joe's eyes closed. Clara sat beside him for a long time, watching him breathe. The sheriff came the next morning. Clara was in the kitchen when she heard hoofbeats. She went to the window, heart pounding. But it wasn't Edward. It was a man with a silver star on his chest and a face like weathered leather. Sam met him on the porch. "Sheriff Tucker." "Sam." The sheriff dismounted. "Heard you had some trouble. Someone poisoned our well. Damn near killed my boy. I heard." Tucker's expression was grim. "I also heard some other things. About your guest." Clara stepped onto the porch. Tucker's eyes found her. "Mrs. Whitfield." "Yes. I've had some inquiries about you, from back east." Tucker pulled a paper from his coat. "And from our friend, Mr. Hartley." Clara's stomach dropped. "What kind of inquiries?" "The kind that suggest you're wanted for attempted murder." "Clara." Sam stepped forward. "That's not—" "I'm asking her, Sam." Tucker's voice was firm. "Ma'am, I need to hear your side of this." Clara took a breath. My husband beat me for 3 years, she said. The night I left, he came at me with his fists. I pushed him away, and he fell down the stairs. He's paralyzed now. His family says I tried to kill him. Did you? No. Clara met Tucker's eyes. I was defending myself. I didn't plan it. I didn't want it. But I won't apologize for surviving. Tucker studied her. You got anyone who can back that up, the doctors who treated my injuries in Boston? Clara's voice was steady. The nurses who saw the bruises. They all knew what Thomas was doing to me. His family paid them to keep quiet. Tucker was silent for a long moment. Then he folded the paper and put it back in his coat. Here's how I see it, he said. Whatever happened in Boston is Boston's business. You're in Montana now. And as far as I can tell, you haven't broken any laws here. But the warrant? That warrant ain't worth spit in my jurisdiction. Tucker's mouth twitched. And I don't take kindly to rich folks from back east telling me how to do my job. Clara's knees went weak with relief. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Tucker's expression hardened. Hartley's pushing hard. And there's a man in town, Whitfield, who's been making noise about taking you back by force. Let him try. Sam's voice was ice. I'd rather not have bloodshed in my county, Sam. Tucker mounted his horse. Keep your heads down. Let me see what I can do about these eastern vultures. He rode away. Sam turned to Clara. You okay? Clara nodded, but her hands were shaking. Tucker's on our side. That's something Sam said. For now. For now is enough. Sam pulled her close. We take this one day at a time. Clara leaned into him. One day at a time. 2 days later, Hartley made his move. Sam was in town. Mabel was with him. Clara and Joe were alone at the ranch. She was reading to Joe when she heard horses. Multiple horses. Clara went to the window. Her blood turned to ice. Hartley sat astride a black horse at the head of a group of men. 5, maybe 6. All armed. Beside him was Edward Whitfield. Stay here, Clara told Joe. She went to the door, opened it. Mr. Hartley. Clara's voice was calm, though her heart raced. Can I help you? Hartley smiled. That cold, predatory smile she'd come to hate. Mrs. Whitfield, I believe you've met my associate. Edward dismounted. Hello, Clara, he said. Time to go home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm afraid you don't have a choice. Hartley's smile widened. You see, Mr. Whitfield here has made me a very generous offer. He'll pay off Sam Thornton's mortgage in full in exchange for you. Clara's stomach turned. You can't buy people. I'm not buying you. I'm simply facilitating a transaction. Hartley spread his hands. Sam gets to keep his ranch. You go back to Boston where you belong. Everyone wins. Except me. You lost the right to win when you crippled my brother, Edward said. His voice was venomous. Now you'll stand trial. You'll pay for what you did, and Father will finally have justice. Your father's justice is a sham. Clara's voice rose. Thomas beat me for 3 years. He would have killed me if I hadn't. If you hadn't pushed him down the stairs. Yes, we know. Edward stepped closer. And now you'll answer for it. Clara backed up. I won't go with you. You don't have a choice. Edward reached for her arm. The rifle shot came from behind Clara. Everyone froze. Mabel stood in the doorway, Sam's rifle in her hands. Her face was stone. Touch her, she said, and the next one goes through your chest. Edward went pale. You can't shoot all of us, Hartley said. His smile had slipped. Maybe not. Mabel cocked the rifle. But I can shoot you. And right now that seems like a fair trade. Hartley's men shifted nervously. Clara's heart pounded. For a long moment no one moved. Then hoofbeats. Coming fast. Sam rode into the yard at a full gallop. He pulled up hard horse rearing. His eyes took in the scene, Clara on the porch, Mabel with the rifle, Hartley and his men. His face went dark as a thundercloud. Get off my land, he said. His voice was deadly quiet. We're conducting business, Hartley said. Legal business. There's nothing legal about this. Sam dismounted. You're trespassing. And you're threatening a woman under my protection. She's a criminal. She's my family. Sam's hand went to his gun. And if you don't leave in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to show you what we do to trespassers in Montana. Hartley looked at Sam, at Mabel and her rifle, at his nervous men. His smile returned, but it was thinner now. This isn't over, Thornton. It is for today. Hartley turned his horse. You're making a mistake, Clara Edward called over his shoulder. We always get what we want. Always. He rode away with the others. Clara's legs gave out. Sam caught her before she hit the ground. I've got you. He held her tight. I've got you. Clara buried her face in his chest. She was shaking, crying. All the fear she'd held back came flooding out. They're never going to stop, she gasped. They're going to keep coming until... Hey! Sam tilted her chin up. Look at me. She looked. They can come as many times as they want, Sam said. I'll be here every time. You hear me? Every single time. But the ranch, Hartley. To hell with Hartley. Sam's eyes blazed. To hell with the mortgage and the money and all of it. None of that matters. You matter. Joe matters. This family matters. Clara stared at him. Family. That's what you are, Clara. Sam's voice softened. Whether you've got papers saying so or not. Your family. Clara kissed him. Hard, desperate. All the fear and love and hope tangled together. Sam kissed her back. When they finally broke apart, Mabel was watching from the porch. She looked almost amused. If you two are done, she said, we've got planning to do. Hartley's going to come back. And next time, he'll bring more than 6 men. Sam kept his arm around Clara. Then we'll be ready. Clara looked at him, at Mabel, at the ranch that had become her home. She thought about running, about disappearing, about protecting these people by removing herself from their lives. And then she thought about what Elena had said. We do not get what we deserve. We get what we are given, and then we choose what to do with it. Clara made her choice. I have an idea, she said. Sam and Mabel looked at her. Hartley wants the ranch. Edward wants me. Clara's voice grew stronger. What if we give them both what they want? What are you talking about? Sam's grip tightened. I'm not letting you go. Not for real. Clara met his eyes. But they don't know that. She told them her plan. When she finished, Sam was shaking his head. It's too dangerous. Everything is dangerous right now. Clara's jaw set. But this way we control what happens. We set the trap instead of walking into theirs. Mabel was quiet, thinking. It could work, she said finally, if we do it right. Mabel. She's right, Sam. Mabel cut him off. We can't keep waiting for them to strike. We need to take the fight to them. Sam looked at Clara, at the determination in her face. If anything goes wrong, it won't. Clara. Sam's voice cracked. I can't lose you. Clara touched his face. You won't. She prayed she was telling the truth. The plan was simple. Clara would send word to Edward that she was willing to negotiate. She'd meet him alone at the abandoned Morrison clinic in town. Make him think she was ready to surrender. Meanwhile, Sam would gather witnesses. Sheriff Tucker, Reverend Abbott, anyone willing to stand against Hartley's corruption. When Edward showed his hand when he revealed the conspiracy between himself and Hartley, they'd have proof. Evidence. Something to fight back with. It was dangerous. Clara knew that. But she was done running. The night before the meeting, Clara sat with Joe. He was almost fully recovered now. His color was good, his appetite back. He'd been asking questions about the men who came to the ranch, about why everyone seemed so worried. Clara hadn't told him everything. Some truths were too heavy for small shoulders. Miss Clara. Yes, sweetheart. Joe's fingers found hers. Are you going away tomorrow? Clara's heart clenched. Just for a little while. I have to take care of something in town. Will you come back? Clara looked at his face, at those blue eyes so like his father's, at the trust there absolute and unearned. Yes, she said. I'll come back. Promise? Promise. Joe smiled. Good. Because Papa needs you. And I need you too. Clara pulled him into her arms. I need you too, sweetheart. More than you know. Sam found her on the porch later. The stars were out, cold and distant. Clara stood wrapped in a quilt watching them. Can't sleep, Sam asked. Too much thinking. Sam stood beside her. Close enough to touch, but not touching. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Clara's voice was quiet. If I don't face them now, they'll keep coming. And one day they'll come when you're not here, when Mabel's not here, when it's just me and Joe. Sam's jaw tightened. I could come with you. No. Clara shook her head. Edward won't talk if you're there. He needs to think he's won, that I've given up. And if he doesn't talk, if he just tries to take you, then I'll scream. Tucker will be nearby. You'll be nearby. Clara turned to face him. I'm not walking in blind, Sam. I know what I'm doing. Sam looked at her for a long moment. I've lost too many people, he said. Mary. Almost Joe. Twice. I can't lose you too. You won't. Clara, Sam. She touched his face. I spent 3 years being afraid. Afraid of Thomas. Afraid of his fists. Afraid of what would happen if I left. And then I left, and I was still afraid. Afraid of being found. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of everything. Sam covered her hand with his. I'm not afraid anymore, Clara said. Because of you. Because of Joe. Because for the first time in my life I have something worth fighting for. And I'm going to fight. Sam pulled her close. Then we fight together, he said against her hair. No matter what happens tomorrow, we face it together. Together, Clara echoed. She held on to him. Let his warmth seep into her bones. Tomorrow would come. And when it did, she'd be ready. Morning brought clouds and cold wind. Clara dressed carefully. Her best dress, hair pinned up. She wanted to look composed, confident, not like a woman running scared. Because she wasn't. Not anymore. Sam drove her to town in the wagon. They didn't talk much. The silence was heavy with everything they couldn't say. At the edge of town, Sam pulled the horses up. Tucker's in position, he said. Reverend Abbott, too. And I'll be across the street at the feed store. Clara nodded. If anything goes wrong, it won't. But if it does... Sam's voice was fierce. You scream, you run. You do whatever you have to do to stay alive. You hear me, I hear you. Sam caught her hand, pressed something into her palm. Clara looked down. A small derringer. 2 shots. I pray you don't need it, Sam said. But if you do, I'll use it. Clara tucked the gun into her pocket. Thank you. Sam kissed her. Hard and brief. Come back to me. Always. Clara climbed down from the wagon. She didn't look back. The clinic was cold and empty. Clara lit a lamp, sat in the chair behind Morrison's old desk. Waited. The minutes crawled. Then footsteps on the porch. The door opened. Edward Whitfield stepped inside. He was alone. That surprised Clara. She'd expected him to bring men. Clara. Edward's smile was thin. I'm glad you came to your senses. I came to talk. That's all. Talk. Edward laughed. We're past talking. You know what I want. You want me to go back to Boston. Stand trial for something that wasn't a crime. You crippled my brother. Your brother was trying to kill me. Edward's face hardened. Thomas loved you. Thomas loved controlling me. Clara's voice was steady. There's a difference. You're lying. Am I? Clara stood. Did Thomas tell you about the time he broke my ribs? The time he held my head underwater until I passed out? The time he locked me in the cellar for 2 days because I looked at another man at a party? Edward's jaw clenched. Thomas wouldn't. Thomas did. Clara stepped closer. Your brother is a monster, Edward. A charming, handsome monster. And your family has been covering for him his whole life. You're lying, Edward repeated, but his voice wavered. Ask the servants, Clara pressed on. Ask the doctors who treated me. Ask anyone who saw us together behind closed doors. They know the truth. They've always known. Edward's face was pale now. It doesn't matter, he said. Father wants justice, and he'll get it. Justice? Clara laughed bitterly. Is that what you call this? Conspiring with a corrupt banker to destroy a good man's ranch, poisoning a well that nearly killed a child. That's not justice, Edward. That's vengeance. Edward went still. What did you say? You heard me. Clara's heart pounded, but she kept her voice calm. I know about Hartley. I know you promised him something in exchange for helping you find me. What was it? Money a cut of whatever he steals from Sam Thornton. That's ridiculous. Is it? Clara tilted her head. Then why was Hartley at your side when you came to the ranch? Why has he been spreading lies about me all over town? Why did someone poison Sam's well? The same week you arrived, Edward's composure cracked. I had nothing to do with Save It. Clara cut him off. I know how this works. Your father buys judges' bribes, witnesses, destroys anyone who threatens the family name. You've been doing it for years. You can't prove any of that. Maybe not in Boston. Clara's voice hardened. But we're not in Boston. Edward's eyes narrowed. What does that mean? It means that Sheriff Tucker has been listening outside that window for the last 10 minutes. Edward spun toward the window. Tucker stood there, visible through the glass, his face grim, his badge glinting. Edward's face went white. You set me up. I gave you a chance to tell the truth. Clara's voice was cold. You chose to lie. The door opened. Tucker stepped inside, followed by Sam Reverend Abbott and 3 other townsmen Clara didn't recognize. Edward looked around wildly. This is illegal. You can't what? Tucker's voice was mild. Can't listen when a man confesses to conspiracy. Can't arrest someone for attempting to kidnap a citizen of my county. I haven't confessed to anything. Close enough. Tucker pulled out handcuffs. Mr. Whitfield, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit kidnapping and suspicion of involvement in the poisoning of the Thornton well. You can't arrest me. Edward's voice rose. My father is a judge. He'll destroy you. Your father has no authority here. Tucker snapped the cuffs on Edward's wrists. And frankly, I don't give a damn about judges 3,000 miles away. Edward struggled. This isn't over, Clara. Do you hear me? This isn't. Sam stepped forward. His fist connected with Edward's jaw. Edward crumpled. Sam stood over him, breathing hard. That was for my son, he said. Touch anyone in my family again and I'll kill you myself. Tucker sighed. I didn't see that. See what Reverend Abbott said mildly. Clara almost laughed. Sam turned to her. His eyes searched her face. You okay? I'm okay. Sam pulled her into his arms. She held on to him. Let herself shake now that it was over. Let the fear and adrenaline drain away. It was done. It was finally done. The next hours were a blur. Tucker hauled Edward to the jail. Hartley fled town before Tucker could arrest him too, but his reputation was destroyed. The townspeople who'd listened to his lies now knew the truth. Clara gave her statement. Told Tucker everything about Thomas, about the abuse, about the night she'd finally fought back. The sheriff listened without judgment. I'm sorry that happened to you, ma'am, he said when she finished. But from where I'm sitting, you didn't do anything wrong. Clara's eyes burned. Thank you. Don't thank me. Tucker stood. I just call things like I see them. He left. Sam took Clara home. Joe was waiting on the porch, Mabel beside him. Miss Clara. Joe ran to her. You came back. Clara swept him into her arms. I told you I would. Aunt Mabel said you were being brave. Were you brave? I tried to be. Joe pulled back, looked at her with those serious eyes. I was brave too, he said. I didn't cry even when I was scared." Clara's heart swelled. "That's the bravest thing of all, sweetheart, being scared and not giving up." Joe smiled. "Like you. Like me." Sam's hand found Clara's shoulder. "Let's go inside. It's getting cold." They went in together, all of them. A family. That night, after Joe was asleep, Clara found Sam in the kitchen. He was sitting at the table, the mortgage papers in front of him. "Still can't pay it," he said without looking up. "Hartley's gone, but the bank still owns the note." Clara sat across from him. "How much time do we have? 2 weeks?" Sam's voice was hollow. "Maybe I can sell some cattle." Maybe. Clara reached into her pocket. She pulled out an envelope, placed it on the table. Sam looked at it. "What's this?" "Open it." He did. His face went still. "Clara, where did you get this?" "It was Thomas's money." Clara's voice was quiet. "I took it when I left. Everything I had in my pocket when I fled Boston. I was going to use it to start over. But then I met you." Sam stared at the bills. "This is $500. I know, I can't take this. You're not taking it. I'm giving it." Clara's eyes met his. This money came from 3 years of hell. 3 years of being beaten and controlled and afraid. "It's blood money, Sam. And I want it to mean something else now. I want it to save this ranch. To give Joe a home. To build something good out of something terrible." Sam's hands were shaking. "Clara, please." Clara's voice broke. "Let me do this. Let me be part of this family. Not because I'm useful, or because you need a nurse for Joe, but because I love you. Because this is where I belong." Sam pushed back from the table, came around to her side, knelt in front of her. "You've been part of this family since the moment you saved my son's life," he said. "The money doesn't change that. Nothing changes that." "Then let me help." Sam looked at her, at the determination in her eyes, at the hope and fear and love tangled together. "All right," he said. "We'll use it. Together. Together." Sam kissed her, soft and slow. Clara kissed him back. For the first time in years, she felt whole. Spring came early that year. The snow melted. The creek ran clear and cold. Calves were born. The ranch came alive again. Clara stood on the porch watching Joe chase chickens in the yard. His laughter rang out bright and clear. Sam came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "Penny for your thoughts. Just thinking." Clara leaned back against him. "About everything that's happened. Regrets. Not one." Sam pressed a kiss to her hair. "I have something for you." "What?" He turned her around, reached into his pocket, pulled out a ring. Clara's breath caught. It was simple. A thin gold band with a small blue stone. Nothing fancy. But it gleamed in the spring sunlight like a promise. "It was my mother's," Sam said. "She wore it every day of her married life. When she died, she told me to give it to the woman I loved. Sam Clara Whitfield." Sam's voice was rough with emotion. "You came into my life on the worst night I've ever known. You saved my son. You saved me. You taught me that the past doesn't have to define us, that we can choose who we become." Clara's eyes were blurring. "I love you," Sam said. "I love your courage and your kindness and the way you hold Joe like he's the most precious thing in the world. I love that you stayed when you could have run. I love that you fight for the people you care about. I love everything about you. Sam, marry me." Sam's voice broke. "Be my wife. Be Joe's mother. Be my partner for whatever comes. I don't have much to offer except this ranch and a little boy who adores you, and a heart that belongs to you completely. But if that's enough..." "Yes." The word came out before she could think. "Yes, yes." Clara laughed through her tears. "Yes, I'll marry you." Sam swept her into his arms, spun her around. Joe came running. "What happened? What happened?" Miss Clara's going to marry me, Sam said. She's going to be your mama. Joe's face lit up like sunrise. Really forever. Clara knelt down, opened her arms. Joe crashed into her. Forever, she whispered. I promise. Sam wrapped his arms around both of them. They stood there, the three of them holding on. A family built not from blood, but from choice, from love, from the stubborn refusal to let go. The wedding was small. Reverend Abbott performed the ceremony in the parlor. Mabel stood as witness. Joe held the ring. Elena Red Hawk came. She sat in the back quiet and dignified. When Clara walked past her, Elena touched her hand. You chose well, she said. Clara smiled. Thank you. For everything. Elena inclined her head. The ceremony was simple. No fancy dresses or expensive flowers. Just two people making promises in front of the people they loved. Sam, take you, Clara, to be my wife, to have and to hold from this day forward. For better, for worse. For richer, for poorer. In sickness and in health. Until death do us part. Clara, take you, Sam, to be my husband, to have and to hold from this day forward. For better, for worse. For richer, for poorer. In sickness and in health. Until death do us part. Sam slid the ring onto her finger. Clara looked at it. At the thin gold band that had once belonged to a woman she'd never meet. A woman who'd raised a good man. Who'd taught him to love. I'll take care of him, Clara thought. I promise. You may kiss the bride, Reverend Abbott said. Sam kissed her. Joe cheered. Mabel wiped her eyes and pretended she wasn't crying. And Clara, who'd come to Montana with nothing but 16 cents and a broken heart, finally understood what it meant to be home. Summer ripened into fall. The ranch thrived. The cattle fattened. The mortgage was paid in full. Clara opened a small clinic in the spare cabin. Word spread. Families came from miles around, ranchers' wives, children with fevers, old men with aches that wouldn't quit. She treated them all, charged what they could afford, sometimes a chicken, sometimes a sack of flour, sometimes nothing at all. Sam teased her about it. You're going to bankrupt us with your charity. Clara smiled. Elena taught me something, she said. We don't get what we deserve. We get what we're given, and then we choose what to do with it. Sam pulled her close. What did I do to deserve you? You rode into a church with a dying child and asked a stranger for help. Clara touched his face. And then you gave that stranger a home. Sam kissed her forehead. Best decision I ever made. Joe came running in. Mama, Papa! The new calf is standing. Clara's heart swelled at the word. Mama! He'd been calling her that for months now. It never got old. Show us, she said. Joe grabbed their hands, pulled them outside. The calf was standing on wobbling legs. Its mother licked its face. New life. New beginnings. Clara watched Joe's face. The wonder there. The joy. She thought about everything that had led her here. The pain, the fear, the running. The choice to stop running and fight instead. She thought about Thomas still paralyzed in Boston, still telling lies, still believing he'd done nothing wrong. She didn't hate him anymore. That surprised her. The hate had burned out, replaced by something quieter. Pity, maybe. Thomas would spend the rest of his life in a body that couldn't move, telling stories about the wife who'd wronged him, never understanding that he'd destroyed himself. Clara had built something new, something beautiful, something that would outlast all the ugliness that came before. The calf took a shaky step, then another. Joe clapped his hands. He's walking. She sure is, Sam said. Strong little thing. Can I name her? What do you want to call her? Joe thought for a moment. Hope, he said, because she didn't give up. Clara's throat tightened. Sam squeezed her hand. "Hope it is," Sam said. They stood together watching the calf find her legs. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. Clara leaned into Sam. He wrapped his arm around her. Joe pressed against her other side. A family. Whole and complete. Not perfect. Nothing was perfect. There would be hard days ahead. Winters to survive. Challenges to face. Grief and joy and everything in between. But they would face it together. Clara thought about the woman she'd been a year ago. Standing on a train platform with 16 cents and a telegram to a dead man. Desperate. Alone. Certain that her life was over. She hadn't known that the ending was really a beginning, that the worst night of Sam's life would become the first night of theirs together, that a dying child would lead her to a love she'd never dared to hope for. That home wasn't a place you ran to. It was a place you built. One choice at a time. One act of courage at a time. One day at a time. Mama Joe tugged her hand. "Are you happy?" Clara looked at her son. Her husband. Her home. She smiled. "Yes, sweetheart. I'm happy." And for the first time in her life, Clara Whitfield Thornton meant it with her whole heart.